Hello and welcome to Talk the Line. On this podcast, I talk to some of our favourite people about the subjects that they are passionate about. This week, we're at Iceland Airwaves talking to Milkywhale. Milkywhale was born out of a performative project for dance school and has become one of the country's most inventive pop artists. And today, we're talking to one half of the duo, Melkorka Magnusdottir, about entrepreneurialism. Hello, it's lovely to meet you.
Hi, it's lovely to meet you as well.
Oh my god, also the Sunday morning of Airwaves.
Yeah, that's an effort to be here on the Sunday morning of Airwaves.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
Yeah. But I feel quite good. The weather's nice and, there's always like this nice kind of, vibe in town, in Airwaves. Yeah. And the Sunday mornings or the Sundays are always quite nice as well.
Yeah, I feel fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We feel fine.
We feel fine. Yeah.
I will have my cup of coffee and then I will feel even better.
So we're talking about, so entrepreneurs and innovators.
Yes.
But I guess in my head I always thought to be an entrepreneur you had to invent something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really true, is it? But it's just that's kind of what we always associate entrepreneurs with is innovation.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to invent something in order to be an entrepreneur. But I think people are just so confused about like what they have to invent and like how inventive it has to be, People are always thinking that they have to like invent the bicycle or the wheel again, to become an entrepreneur. But it doesn't really have to be like that, And I had a class in innovation, and the whole first class just went into discussing whether or not opening a McDonald's in Iceland would be an innovation,
Right. There's no McDonald's here.
There is no McDonald's here, but I mean,
I never noticed that.
There was one, and it closed down. It's like the only McDonald's in the world that ever like closed down.
Oh my god, that's amazing. It just makes me love Iceland even more.
That makes me happy to hear.
Yeah.
So in a way, like people were like really like on fire talking about this is not innovation, it's not innovation. But in a sense, I mean, you're just bringing like something that doesn't exist here, to Iceland, and in a sense that's innovative,
Right.
But just in a completely different way than inventing something completely new,
Who brought McDonald's to Iceland?
I think it was the Icelandic prime minister at that time. He like ate the first hamburger at McDonald's in Iceland, and there's like a really famous photograph of him like biting that hamburger, which is really funny. It's really iconic. I would actually love to have that photograph.
It's quite cool. Yeah. And his name was Ronald.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. How long ago was that?
I think it was like a long time ago, maybe 20, 30 years or something. 20 years? Can that be?
How long did it last? How long was the McDonald's there before it?
So first there was like one McDonald's in the center. It's also quite funny that they only had like one, like one McDonald's. And then that closed down and opened in another place, like in a kind of a suburb. And then they closed that, I think maybe 8 years ago or something like that. But it's quite funny because they opened a new place that's called Metro. And it's just like McDonald's. It's just like has like everything's the same. The aesthetics are the same, but it's not.
Because you have that shop here, Tea Cafe, tea and coffee.
Yes, yes.
And it's so close to a rip-off of Starbucks. I wonder how they don't get sued.
Yeah, but I mean, don't they have like these kind of chains just like all over the world? I mean,
tea and cafe?
No, I mean just like these kind of coffee chains.
Yeah,
what do you think?
There's loads of coffee chains, but I think just like their font is within like a centimetre of the Starbucks font, and even the labelling, like the store inside, the colour scheme, like everything is so similar to Starbucks.
I didn't notice
this is weird. I feel like I've like slipped into a different dimension.
Yeah, but I think also like that's also something that people are like constantly thinking about when they're like doing new things. It's like, am I stealing from someone? It's either like, am I stealing from someone, or I'm never gonna tell anybody my idea, and I'm like never gonna talk about it. And that's like so wrong in a sense, because you shouldn't be scared of like putting your idea out there, because ideas maybe just like 10% of the actual execution, Yeah. Everybody can have ideas and everybody has ideas, but like the thing of just doing them, of making them into something, there's like such little percentage that happens. So I'm all the time like, just talk about your ideas, like tell me your ideas, because by doing that, there's like more chance of that happening, you know?
Right, yeah.
Then you have like put it out there, then it's just not in your mind anymore.
So is like creating music an innovation? Is writing a novel an innovation? Is putting on a play an innovation? Because I feel like most people always think of it as being something that's techie, you know, like an app or a new invention.
I think this is a really good question. I don't have the answer, you know. It's in a way, innovation is being creative, you know. I've thought about this quite a lot as an artist as well, you know. And I think in a way, like the difference between artists and entrepreneurs is not that big, you know. I think we're like both types are these crazy people that, you know, have crazy ideas, and everybody's like, oh, you know, you're so funny, you want to do this idea, and everybody laughs at you, you know, at the beginning. And then one of your idea maybe has a breakthrough, you know, and then it becomes like super big. And then nobody really laughs at you anymore, you know. So I think like those types are like super similar.
Yeah.
But there are things that kind of define or make a difference. And I think one thing in terms of being an artist is the sustainability, you know, like that with when you do a startup, like the idea is always like to start making money, and the money kind of starts rolling and you become sustainable. But that's a way of thinking that maybe is not so stuck with artists, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That can even be a good thing, but it can still drive you into a burnout.
Yeah, and like the idea of that, like the funding, the initial capital that you need to fund a startup. I feel like people who have like a tech idea or something are way more likely to go out to investors and pitch it and say, give me some money because I've got this great idea, I've got this business plan. Whereas like the idea of an artist doing that seems so alien.
I know. And it is quite alien.
Yeah, and kind of disingenuous, like unauthentic.
Yeah.
Like music should be this, or art should be this sacred thing that doesn't interlink with business and investment and venture capitalism.
Yes. I mean, I think it would be quite weird if an artist would go to like a VC and say like, I have this amazing idea for a concert.
Yeah.
Give me some money.
But then it seems like so
great.
possible in this day and age, you know?
Yeah.
Like, will Elon Musk fund Grimes' next tour?
Oh my God, that would be so amazing. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing, you know?
It kind of would.
Like in a
it would be an innovation in itself.
Yeah, and then like in a world where everything is just pretty much doomed, or like when you think everything is pretty much doomed, then like, you know, then we should just start funding artists. That's like not the worst idea.
Do you know, this is like a line of conversation that I feel like has been present in pretty much all the podcasts we've done this weekend. And just a lot of conversations I've had is that people in Iceland really do believe that the planet is doomed.
Do they? Oh my God, yeah.
More so than any conversations I have back home.
Really?
And we're very near each other.
I think that makes me still quite happy that you say that, because I feel that no one is kind of aware of the things that are happening. Well, I mean, my interest in innovation kind of just started because I like got a burnout because everything that was happening in the news was so bad, you know.
Yeah.
And that's maybe pretty normal because like the news are just about bad things. They just like extract everything that's like happening and the worst things, and then they make big stories. And then I was like, okay, we're just doomed and everything is horrible. And I stopped reading the news for like a few months, and it was so nice because nothing kind of changes, you know.
Yeah.
If you don't open, you know, the news,
like ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss. At that point, it was. And then I started like reading about innovation, and I kind of like renewed my faith, you know, in things that are happening, just to see that like all the big problems, there's like tons of people working on like solving them, you know.
Okay, yeah.
And it's like problem solving, and I find it like so interesting that this is happening everywhere, you know. And you learn about like crazy things, you know, that are happening, like how you're like saving the oceans, you know.
So like that guy who developed that massive rubbish collecting thing.
Exactly.
And he was like, he was on like a BBC program, a documentary that was on recently about plastic in the ocean. And wasn't he like 14 when he coded his first like platform or something? Like,
I know.
Some kind of boy genius.
It's the younger generations. They also know how to code and they know everything that we don't.
So he's built this like giant sea barrier. And it's like a sea barrier ship that goes around the ocean and where all the kind of seas meet and where all the rubbish collects and sucks up all the rubbish.
I know. I think it's amazing. And also like when we... I went like to visit the Icelandic Innovation Center, and there they are like developing ways to fish, but not with fishery nets, but with light.
What?
You know? So they're like shooting light out of a boat, like a projection, and then they're like the fish sees the light and like very metaphorically swims into the light.
Wow.
And it like saves huge like electricity costs, gas costs for the ships, you know.
And the plastic in all the ropes as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, these things are happening on a much bigger scale, and it's just like so fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
And also just meeting all these people that are like so convinced, you know, about their ideas and so passionate about their ideas. And I mean, that's maybe just a cliche, but it's just so inspiring, you know.
Yeah.
To like one day you meet Icelandic people who are like growing Icelandic wasabi, you know, and nobody has never heard about that before in Iceland, you know.
No, I didn't even know wasabi was something you could grow.
Yeah, I know.
I thought it was just like horseradish or something.
And now they have like a greenhouse in the southern part of Iceland where they're like growing like high quality first class wasabi.
So is wasabi is it like horseradish? It's like a root,
it's like it's like the root.
Really?
And I actually tried it the other day, like not the root but the leaves, because the leaves are like much milder and they just leave like this very vague taste of wasabi.
Oh, wow.
So it's like just like getting to know the future, and I get like so excited about the future.
So is that why you took the class, or did the class inspire you to discover more about innovation?
I think I like made a little mistake, you know. I didn't really know what it was, but, you know, I just saw like innovation, and I was like, oh, that's something creative. I was like, that's maybe something.
Need to pick a course.
Yeah.
Potluck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started. And it was just like completely different actually than what I imagined, but in a good way, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like, it's a nice thing to have done it, you know. It's like future course. It's more fun to learn about the future than to learn about the past.
Do you learn about current innovators? Do you learn about like the Steve Jobses of the world, or do you learn about like the process of innovation? What was the class on?
You learn, I mean, you do different courses, so you learn about different things. It's not that I have like a whole course just about like Steve Jobs, his life, you know, his career.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, yeah.
But of course you learn about this. You do like, you know, you do case studies on startups, and I think it's also very important you do like case studies on failures as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, what's a good example of a failure?
I think if it's just like Steve Jobs, for example, I don't think it's a failure, but you know, he got kicked out of his own company.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
So he was like kicked out of Apple for a few years, and then he got back, and that's when things started really rolling.
Didn't he like acquire Pixar or something in the time that he wasn't at Apple?
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah, something like mad like that. He was like, well, screw you guys, I'm just going to go and start another multi-million-pound company that's incredibly successful and informs a generation's tastes.
Totally. And I mean, and I think also with Steve Jobs, and I think also Bill Gates, is what makes them so special, is that they are a very good example of people who are both like entrepreneurs, but also kind of like good CEOs, you know, like they're good in directing big companies as well, and that's not necessarily like something that goes together. So it happens like a lot of times that people who start something like, and they, you know, start a startup, And then when the startup has become a company, they just leave the startup, you know, they just sell it and then they go back to point zero and then they start again, you know?
Yeah.
Just because they thrive in this excitement.
There's something very special about the first like year or so before things get big and before the VC money comes in. So I was working at a startup maybe like 3-4 years ago, ticketing app in the UK called Dice. And like being the sort of first people on that staff in the early days when you'd have like marketing breakfast and no one really knew how to do marketing. And I was reading like really random like books about hacking and how to hack stuff. Not like hacking like into someone's, what's it called? When you do, maybe it is hacking, like marketing hacking or something. Yeah, and like all that stuff.
Growth hacking.
Yeah, growth hacking. That's what it's called. Like how Hotmail always put at the bottom of their emails sent with Hotmail, and that was like the biggest hack to get everyone on Hotmail. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Funny, we were just talking about that the other day. No, totally, and I kind of like that also. That is like we're not really experts, but we're just gonna become experts by just
scrappy.
Like doing it.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah,
and then like once it became really structured, I got a bit bored.
Totally. Yeah, but I think I would become also like that. I'm like I thrive in this like atmosphere of just like starting something and.
But then we went to see this other startup that was like I think it was like invested by the guy who did Candy Crush or something like bonkers like that.
Really?
It was like this like it was like a social network for music fans.
And it
was
social
like
networks
app.
Yeah,
I think it was called like Crowd Mix or something like that. And we went to their offices, and their offices were like massive, and they had like so many staff, and like it's like just like a tech playground kind of vibe of an office, the sort of thing you'd expect from a Silicon Roundabout company.
Yeah.
Like a lot of money there, and but also we went in and we were like, this is a music company, and we don't know anyone who works here. We're like, this is really weird, and they had so many staff, and it hadn't launched, and we were just like, this is really strange. Also, this is the key for me. Where I was like, I don't think this is going to work. They'd spelt the genre indie, INDY.
Oh, that's a no-no.
I know, right? What indie fan spells indie, INDY? But anyway, it was just a really weird experience, and I think like seeing that versus how we'd started that app. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't like a founding member or anything, just like an early member of staff, but it was like very like scrappy and like let's see what we can do organically. And
I think it's also like what you mentioned is like sometimes I get these silly vibes because there are like these kind of stereotypes in the startup world that are like total cliches and like startup kids, and you walk into their office and there's like no office, there's just like I don't know a ping pong board or
oh my god, we were
post-its everywhere.
We were in a tech company that had the ping pong tables.
Yeah,
and it's just and I had the like fridge full of beer. And like all the free food and I just worked at the BBC for 8 years where there was a fridge with milk in it and you could make your own like instant coffee.
I also worked at the National Theatre in Iceland and we just had like one coffee that everybody were just there. There was like
just
nothing.
Like granules, just coffee granules. Yes. And then suddenly went into this office where there's like this fridge full of like booze and there's like all this like fruit. And I was like, sorry, like where do I put money? Do I donate money somewhere for the fruit? Like, and then like they were like, oh yeah, there's like a change box on the counter. And I was like looking for this change box. And they're like, no, seriously, you just take the fruit. It's like comes every morning. It's free. And I was like, this is insane.
And then every Friday they do like a huge party in the office and they invite like all the other startups and they have like a person coming to do tattoos or like
they have massages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And this tech company, they did a thing where if you'd been there for 10 years, it was like 10. You got like 10 weeks off and they gave you a check for 10 grand.
Oh my god.
Right.
But I mean that's also one thing that's quite like funny about the startup world is that you can have like these amazing, crazy, like disruptive technologies that are gonna change the world, that are like super successful. And then you can just have like something that's like super silly, but is a complete hit. Because I think there was like one startup, it's like an app that you download and it's like a beer app, that you can just like you like roll your phone and then you can see like a beer appearing and the foam and everything and you roll the phone and it changes like by how you roll the phone. It's like something like really, really, really silly. And it's like a huge hit. It was like #1 in the App Store when it came out.
Wow. But then is that just like a flash in the pan? Is that like a Flappy Bird that's it's there one day and it's gone the next? And I'm sure the person has made a good amount of money off it, but will it is it enough to like to sustain you for the rest of your life?
No, probably. Well,
maybe, yeah.
I think this guy like made enough money to sustain him for the rest of their life, and that's what I find also quite funny, you know. Yeah. And I kind of like that as well, that you can just do something that's a bit silly.
I listened to like a podcast about a startup. It was like a guy who just, you know, coded some apps, and he made like a Bible app, but made it in Spanish or something like that because there wasn't one, and it just became like massive. But then he had this like internal dilemma because he was making all this money, but like off the Bible, and it was like it's just the question that
is wrong, or
I know, right? Like sort of like a weird like religious ethics thing. Like you're making so much money off just like all these like Spanish speaking Jesus fans. Then do you have to give the money back to the church, or do you keep it and just live a lavish lifestyle?
Yeah, I think I don't know.
What would Jesus do?
What would Jesus do? That's probably the biggest question.
Here in Iceland, you have the pirate. I mean, everywhere has the pirate party now, right?
Yes.
But it's quite popular here.
It's very popular in Iceland.
And is one of their policies something to do with patents, and how if you patent something but then you never use it, the patent expires after a certain amount of time?
I'm actually not so sure, but I think like one of the reasons the pirate party became so big in Iceland is because they managed to kind of expand out of this kind of computer world, you know, and they managed to just become a little bit bigger than that. Yeah. So they have like all kinds of policies on like different subjects, you know, artists, for example. So they're not like these typical computer geeks, you know, as the pirate parties in the other countries. But one thing that's like also talking about patents, one thing is like, I mean, everybody's talking about patents, you know, that's like so important, you know, you should get a patent. But in the startup world, I think sometimes just the first to market strategy is just like much more important than a patent, you know. Sometimes you just, and it's just it's so difficult to get a patent, and it can take years. So now like the only companies that are in the process of getting patents are like healthcare, like, you know, startups or startups that are like developing like a screw that's like insanely new and it's gonna change the world, you know. But for people with beer apps, like the one that I mentioned, then just go first to market.
Just go, the first mover advantage.
Yeah, totally. And that's like not necessarily bad.
So what are your favourite current innovations then? Things that you learnt about on the course, or things that you've seen people doing in the maybe past 5 to 10 years?
Besides opening a McDonald's in Iceland, well, you can't really beat that, no. I think we have like a lot of nice startups here in Iceland, and that's, I mean, I feel quite lucky that I get to hear about what's happening, you know, and what these people are developing. We had like there was a business plan competition that just finished now, and the startup that won, they're called Flow VR, and they have this virtual reality meditation kind of technology. So you like put on the virtual reality equipment, and it takes you into like a 10 minutes kind of meditation set where you're just like in Icelandic nature, and it's like in a time when everything is just so fast and things pass so quickly. I think this is like a really nice startup, just like going deep into meditation. There's really talented people that are behind that. Yeah. Then there's also an Icelandic startup that's called Identifier, and they are this kind of facial recognition tool. And Interpol has been using their technology for like many years to deal with child pornography on the internet, you know. Wow. And they just made like a huge contract with Facebook now, and I think it's nice because like nobody knows really about these startups because they're kind of behind the curtains startups, not as famous as Apple or you know, whatever, or Elon Musk, you know. But they're still doing like really amazing things. And we also have some like music related startups here that are doing nice things. There's like a computer game that's called Mozilla that's kind of teaching kids to play instruments through an app.
Oh wow!
And she has kind of created like a whole world with like characters that play different instruments, and that's a really, really nice. It's really cute. I think it's like all mice. It's like all the characters are mice. So, yeah, it's like a lot of things.
This is like 340,000 people in Iceland.
I know.
How are you so productive as a society?
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Also with art, there's just like so many artists here compared to like how few we are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe there's something in the water, but there's just also something, this sense of being independent, you know, that everybody's just doing something on their own, and that kind of turns out into very high artistry or innovation level. And I think that's quite nice, you know. I think that's when artificial intelligence has taken over the world, like everybody's talking about. I think there are like two types of people that are left, and that's like entrepreneurs and artists, because it's like ideas is something that you just can't create artificially, like yet. Maybe in the future. I mean, I don't know, how would that look like artificial intelligence dance performances.
Siri, solve climate change.
Do some choreography.
Siri, what's the best hook for this chorus? Is there anything that we haven't talked about, anything we've missed?
Well, just talking about like different types of entrepreneurs, I think it's like so important to like realize that you don't have to, like I said, invent the wheel, you know. You don't have to be like, you know, doing new things, because it happens so rarely today that you're doing something completely new. And I think entrepreneurs can just like be found in so many different places that you wouldn't expect them. And I kind of wrote my thesis about entrepreneurs that are like inside big companies, you know, that are like trying to change or trying to be like innovative inside like big corporate companies, you know, because these people, they do exist, and they're like constantly trying to push boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of moving change forward, you know. They're kind of the people that are like initiating change within these companies.
So instead of trying to set up a brand new company, they're just innovating within the corporation that they're already a part of.
Yes. And
is there an example?
Yeah, I mean, Nokia, for example,
Oh my God, Nokia.
Yes, do you remember Nokia?
Yes, 3210.
Yes. But you know, before Nokia was a phone company, they made boots, you know?
I did not know that.
They were they made amazing boots, just like rain boots, you know?
What?
And then the market just became like really hard, and they decided to just innovate and see which markets they should move into and expand into, and they went into the phone business, you know? So that's like an amazing journey of like one company.
Is it a Finnish company, Nokia?
It's a Finnish company.
Yeah. But what's happened now? Is Nokia still going? Have they?
I think they're still going. Yeah, and then they went into some other technologies. So they're still going.
Right, cool.
And that's like such a nice example of a company that's like super adaptable to change, you know.
Tough as old boots.
Yes. I know. Who knows? Maybe they'll go back to boots when, you know, climate change changes the weather, you know.
Yeah, maybe. If you were going to innovate, if you're going to create something now, have you got an idea? Have you been?
I would
just open a few beers at Airwaves and going, do you know what I'm going to do?
I would just open a karaoke bar. I think that would just be my innovation.
You don't have a karaoke bar here. You have a karaoke night.
I know. They
Tuesdays.
don't have a karaoke bar with rooms. You need a person to open a karaoke bar. So
I've only been here 1 week, and I have Googled karaoke bar Reykjavik. So
yeah, I know. I'm doing some research now, going to karaoke bars in all the cities that I go to.
I mean, give me a shout when you're in London. I'm so up for that.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A big thanks to Melkorka. Thanks to Iceland Airwaves as well. We had a great weekend. Tickets are on sale for 2019. You have been listening to Talk the Line. I'm Jen Long. This is a podcast from the line of Best Fit, produced by Paul Bridgewater with original music by Seams. We upload a new episode every other Monday. You can find us on the internet. You can subscribe to this podcast. You could leave us a nice review.